Hey, welcome everybody to the Bret Boone Podcast. I'm Rich Herrera. That, of course, is All-Star second baseman Bret Boone and New York Times bestselling author from The Athletic, Tyler Kepner, who is clean-shaven for this edition of the 2026 MLB preview. Tyler, how are you?
All right. How are you guys? Ready for the season? Huh? This is fun.
Bret, you ready?
I am ready. Yes, Tyler does look fresh. Last time we had him on, and it was, I think, relatively recently. He was bearded.
Captain Caveman.
Yeah, I switch off season to season sometimes.
I can mock people with their beards, not beards, just simply because I lack the ability to actually grow a real beard. I try. Right, it doesn't really work for me. I wish I could. So I
don't think I've seen any of the Boones with a beard or mustache in their baseball playing time, at least.
Yeah, when I was playing, definitely could not grow. I as I've gotten a little bit older, if I work on kind of like a goatee for it'll take me 3-4 weeks where you can. When you run into me, Boonie's got a goatee, but it takes
a
that
long lead up.
It takes that long.
Yeah, because
it's tired.
I guess your grandpa was in like the clean shaven era, and then Dad was in the mustache era, and then you guys were like in the goatee era, and then now it's guys have the full beard now in Uncle Aaron.
Yeah, it's everything.
So, but the Boones have stayed out.
Did Arnie?
I don't think Aaron could grow a beard either. It would come in real patchy.
Yeah.
Did Bob ever sport a mustache?
Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Did Bob ever sport a mustache?
He tried. Yeah, I've got some pics of Bob with a mustache. Actually, a couple years ago, Tyler, a couple years ago, I grew my longest goatee ever, and I let it grow for 6 weeks, and then I shaved it off, and I kept the mustache. I might. For those of you watching, I will shoot Jared, our behind-the-scenes producer, and he might include this in the YouTube caption. I'll give him the picture of a few years ago, my effort at a mustache, and it is tired, and it does not flatter me at all. Anyway, all right.
Let's get after it. It's time for our 2026 MLB preview. We do it annually here on the Boone Podcast, and Tyler Kepner is really one of the best friends of the show. So he joins us as we get ready for the season around the All-Star break, postseason. So Tyler, again, appreciate everything that you do for us coming on the podcast. So I've got 9 questions for you for 9 innings of baseball. So let's start off with the first one. Tyler, can anybody stop the Los Angeles Dodgers empire? Is anybody even close to what Andrew Friedman and Doc Roberts have built at Chavez Ravine?
Well, I think on paper, no one's close. I mean, they clearly have the best team on paper, and they have it every year. The question is just whether the randomness of baseball and the short series will catch up to them at one point. We've all seen great teams. Bret's been on one, where it just doesn't roll your way in the postseason. So I think that's part of what makes baseball great, that so many things can happen in the small laboratory that is a 9-inning game or a 7-game series. But nobody can match him talent-wise, for sure.
Bret, what's the most impressive thing about Los Angeles Dodgers?
I think, first of all, and we've talked about this a lot. The depth they have is unmatched throughout baseball. I think that's what makes them so good. It's not their star power. It's when one of their stars goes down, who do they replace it with? They just have, in the coffers, they've just got better players to replace their best players with than everybody else. What's been impressive to me is the amount of this niche they found of putting the money off into the future. And some people were upset. I just sat there and go, they found a chink in the armor, and they exploited it. They did everything legally. But I think with the overwhelming scrutiny the Dodgers have had from mostly fans, and it's kind of cool now. Everybody hates the Dodgers. Well, when the fans basically hate you, that's kind of a form of flattery. But they've lived up to it. They've won back-to-back. They were close to getting beat last year by the Toronto Blue Jays, but they didn't. They won. I think what Tyler was talking about previously was it is the game of baseball. Anything can happen. We watched it in the World Baseball Classic. We watched Venezuela beat USA. Venezuela, very talented team. But on paper, were they more talented than USA? I don't think so. But that doesn't matter in a short series. It's who's hot, when are you hot, and that's why I think baseball is the greatest game because anything can happen. But 2 in a row, I don't care how good you are. I don't care how big of a force you are, and the amount of players, star players you have on your team to win back-to-back World Series. Pretty darn impressive.
Tyler, big question. Andrew Friedman, really smart guy, Wall Street, had success in Tampa Bay, goes to the Dodgers, takes it to the next level. My question to you is, why hasn't everybody else copied what Andrew's tried to do? Why has no one's been able to duplicate what he's done with some of the resources that other teams have?
Right. I mean, he has a pretty extensive tree now of other executives, right? Like you look, Chaim Bloom was in Boston, and now he's in St. Louis. You have Matt Arnold was a Rays guy. He's in Milwaukee. Rays guys are in dugouts all over the place. I mean, Blake Butera, the new manager of the Nats, was a Rays guy. So, there are Rays people all over to varying degrees of success. James Click was the GM when the Astros won in 22. He was from
Sam Fold. Sam Fold came out of that.
Another one. I feel like that. So there's a lot. It's been spread a lot, but it's still, Andrew is kind of the main architect, I suppose, and also with the Dodgers resources. And the other people he has around him, the other smart minds, it's been an unstoppable force for the last couple of years, and even before that, they were really good. Where the Dodgers pivoted was they had a couple seasons where they won just a ton of games and then got smoked in the first round, and they really decided that having a great record in the regular season isn't what people remember. It's being at your peak in October. And they were able to figure it out in 24 because, as you said, Brett, they have just such depth that even when some pitchers went down, they just flooded it with great relief arms and won that series against the Yankees. And then last year, they timed it so their big pitchers were already at the start of October. So Snell and Glasnow were full go, and Roki Sasaki. So they just overwhelmed you with those arms. And then they go out and sign Kyle Tucker and Edwin Diaz. So, yeah, they're going to be really tough. And as to why, I mean, there can only be one that's the best, and that's the best.
So, Brett, let me pose this to you. You've told us when you went over to the Atlanta Braves, it wasn't, I hope we go to the playoffs. It's, we expect to go to the playoffs. We expect to go to the World Series. Do you see that same swagger out of the Dodgers right now, where it's just so focused of, hey, listen, popping champagne bottles in the middle of September doesn't matter. We want to pop the champagne bottles in November.
Absolutely. And I think there's quite a few teams these days that hey, we're going to the postseason no matter how far. I can think of 5 or 6 offhand, but definitely the Dodgers being one. When you win 2 World Series back to back, I mean, you're in uncharted waters. I think this is the closest thing we've seen to the late 90s Yankees teams. And it comes down to more than talent at this point. It's one thing to have the talent to year after year go into the postseason and be the favorite and go through it's another thing to win. It's another thing to win too. And when you win too, believe me, that's a pretty tough opponent with the mental advantage that current group of guys have in LA. And I think you got to take your hat off to them. It's beyond the talent. It's the group. It's the group that's been together for years now is the reason they keep going on and on. And it's not a very verbose group. You don't hear a lot of this and a lot of that. It's kind of put your head down, lunch pail, go to work, win. And I think you're right. I think in a day and age of the playoff format, the way we have it, it's not about winning games. It's not about, we got to win 100 games. It's about just monitoring the season, giving guys their rest. Now, making sure you are a postseason, you have a seat at the table. But I think as Tyler was alluding to, this team is built for, okay, we get to the postseason, and now that's when the real season starts. I think Derek Jeter talked about it quite a bit, if we didn't win the World Series, it wasn't a success. Well, that's a pretty awesome mentality to have as a core group. It's one thing to talk about, it's another thing to do it. And then it's just the epitome is going out and actually bringing the trophy home, which not too many people on this earth can say, I've got back-to-back World Series rings.
All right, Tyler, 3 in a row. The Dodgers have played more baseball and had shorter offseasons than everybody else in baseball in the last 2 years because they went to the World Series, which means their season extended upon longer than anybody else in baseball, which means they get to their offseason routines later. They have shorter rest period during the offseason. Is 3 in a row possible?
Oh, sure, it's possible just because they're so good, right? And like Bret said, they're going to make the playoffs, so there's almost no chance that they don't. They always do, and they're so loaded. All their guys, they're young guys, Emmett Sheehan, guys like that, can more than hold their own when the big guys, the expensive guys, are down. So saying that they'll be in the playoffs, then they definitely have a real good shot to do it. I mean, real good. I would still take the field over the Dodgers. Like I would always take somebody from
absolutely
over one. Because then you're saying they have a 51% chance, and that's not true. So I would always take the field, but they have probably the best chance of anybody to win. So yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, a three-peat, I could see it. We've seen it before with the Yankees, so it can be done. And you start stacking rings. Like Mookie's already got 4 rings because he's got the one from Boston, and then 2020 and these last 2. So it starts to get really, really impressive. But then you get a lot of players around the league who, they're really great and they've never gotten a ring. Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge being probably the primary 2 right now. Guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado who've never been to the World Series, who are probably Hall of Fame type guys. So when one team gets a lot of them, you get a situation where you got like the Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, in the NBA when Jordan just hogged all the rings. So, it feels like that's happening a little bit with the Dodgers.
Bret, I mean, it's kind of like Yogi Berra has so many World Series rings. He said, I don't want any more. Give me a watch, give me an ashtray, give me a belt buckle.
Oh, yeah, must be nice.
Right.
Nice,
I'll tell you what, there is something to that, having the ring, that mental edge you have over others. And it's nothing, you don't have to wear the rings. You don't have to talk about the rings. It's just kind of a silent known. And you mentioned, Rich, the year I played with the Braves. Playing against the Braves for years and years, playing against the Yankees for years and years, with all the success those franchises had, Braves in the 90s win the division every year. Being a National League player, when you go to Atlanta, it was something different because they only won 1 World Series, which to this day I can't wrap my head around. How did they not win more than that? But the fact that they were going to win that division each and every year. There was something when you took the field against the Braves, it was something different. It was a quiet confidence on the Braves side. Nothing needed to be said. It was kind of the known. Same thing with the Yankees. And I stepped on that field in the Bronx many times in that postseason. There was something different about the Yankees because the amount of success they had, once again, it didn't have to be verbalized. Nobody had to say anything. There wasn't an egotistical edge to it. But as an opposing player, you go into that much success on the other side, it's definitely a mental edge for them.
So you know what it's like? It's like sitting in the press box next to Tyler Kepner when he rolls in and you see him in his laptop. Like, whatever I write about this game is not going to compare to what Tyler has. I get
right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have my laptop, though. I'd have my pen and I'd have my what do they call those? I don't even know. I was going to use something cute that I used to use in high school, but we'll just say my binder.
Yeah, your peachy folder.
Yeah, my peachy. That's what I was looking for, the peachy.
Right there, right? Listen,
Trapper
the rest
Keeper.
of us.
I was thinking Trapper Keeper, but
Yeah.
that
Hey,
was
Trapper Keeper's great.
Tyler Kepner is using a MacBook Pro. The rest of us have color crayons.
That's right.
No, but I mean, Bret's right. Like that atmosphere, just from even covering the World Series in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, covering the ALCS that you were in. I mean, there was a feeling of
Inevitability.
the Yankees were just you couldn't impenetrable. I mean, like it was this fortress at Yankee Stadium, and it kind of feels like that way with the Dodgers now. Like they have it, they figured it out
without a doubt.
And it's extended. That's the thing that's impressive. It's extended. All right, let's move on.
Rich, I'll tell you this. Let me make this, and I'll get out of it. But obviously, the teams I've been on have not had the same amount of success about the two franchises we're talking about. But the 1 year I did play for the Braves, it was amazing when we play other teams, just how they treated us, just the look in their eye when they took the field against us. They knew they were playing that machine, the Atlanta Braves of the 90s. The year in Seattle in kind of 01, 02, 03.
Right.
I got a little bit of that feeling. Every opponent that came to us, like, wow, this team's good. They won 116 games. We can't beat them. That starts to kind of drip into your psyche as a player. And that's what I talk about, the mental edge. In 1994 and 95, I was on some great Cincinnati Reds teams back-to-back years. And once again, not to the degree of the late 90 Yankees or the 90s Atlanta Braves. I felt that a little bit. I've been on the good side, but more times than not, I've been on the bad side of it.
All right, let's move on. Juan Soto, mega deal last year. This rotisserie cooker that he's in is going to help or hurt him this year. Second year into the deal. Now people are like, Tyler, you got all this money. You're supposed to be the toast of New York. Maybe last year you're getting used to playing over here wearing blue and orange, but now, brother, you got to produce.
Yeah, I mean, that'll always be the target on his back, and certainly the Mets are a team that will always have championship expectations. I mean, just with the payroll that they have and the state admission. So I don't think anyone really can blame Soto for last year. I mean, he was outstanding especially in the second half. I think he was third in MVP. He's one of the very best hitters in the sport. And as the fans get more and more comfortable with who he is and how he excels, I don't think there's a huge it's a shared burden, right? Like Lindor is also a big part of it. And he's much more comfortable as the sort of the spokesman. You can never fade into the background when you're Juan Soto, but he's not like the focal point he's not like the centerpiece, I guess, of the team, or at least he shares it with Lindor, which probably helps.
Bret, carrying that big load of being the guy with the contract, all the expectations, you've seen it where, let's go to your Mariners team. You guys had a lot of stars, but there's only one that everybody wanted to talk to every night.
Well, the thing about it is when you're that level of a star, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, two guys that have never won a World Series. That just shows you it doesn't matter how good you are. This is baseball. And, I think Griffey was famously quoted as saying, they can walk me. They don't even have to deal with me if they don't want to. That's what separates baseball from other sports. That being said, when it comes to Juan Soto, I think he's already passed all the tests all the litany tests that I would give him. He's a young player. He came up with Washington. Everybody knew the quality of hitter he was and the offensive player. He turns down a boatload of money, $400 million. And I'm sitting there going, well, when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, turning down that kind of money, that's a big burden. All of a sudden he gets the biggest deal in history and he signs with the Mets for that 700+ deal. And comes back last year and has an MVP type season. So I think he's passed every test. And I don't think Juan Soto's worried about living up to anything. I think Juan Soto's going to go out and be Juan Soto. He's going to post a huge OPS. He's going to hit his 40 homers. He's going to hit around 300. He's going to get on base a ton. He's going to play an okay outfield. And that's the way it's going to be. And it's going to be up to that team that they build around him to kind of compliment him and say, all right, this is the team built for a championship. I think Aaron Judge is dealing with something similar in New York. Here's well, I don't want to give the spoiler away, but one of the greatest players in the game looking for that ring. And that's why those are so special. People that get to win them, it's a special time, and I couldn't imagine something harder. As a young player, I thought I was going to have plenty of opportunities. Oh, I'll get a ring or two here and there. You look back in your career and you go, wow, that's the World Series for a reason. And you get those rings and they're that coveted for a reason. They're that special and that hard to win.
Yeah. And Soto's already been twice. I mean, he won with the Nats and he took the Yankees there. So he's proven he can win. And I will say this also, he will probably never be better than he is right now because this is his age 27 season. And historically, I've studied it. Like most guys have their best season, or more guys have had like outstanding, like 7 WAR, whatever you want to say, seasons at age 27 than any other age. So this will probably be the best he ever is. I can't wait to see what Juan Soto's age 27 year is going to be, because it has a chance to be pretty special.
Bret Boone, why is that? At 27, you hit your peak. It's a combination of you're still young, but you've been in the big leagues enough that you have some experience?
Yeah, and I think, what Tyler's referring to is that's the average. That's what history says. Now, it makes sense. Makes sense, because if you're, I think throw out the modern day, because players are coming up so early now. In my generation, if you came up at 22 or 23, you were a baby. Now guys are coming up 19, 20 years old. Back in my day, the Griffies, 19, that weird. Didn't happen. Right. That was an eclipse that was getting struck by lightning. Nowadays, not so much. You're seeing 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds come up to the big leagues. But I think if you look at the history of baseball, and this is just me guessing, I haven't dove into this, I don't know the numbers, but I'm thinking you get to the big leagues normally throughout the course of history at 23, 24 years old. You kind of cut your teeth. You get a couple years under your belt, and then bam, third, fourth year in the big leagues, you've probably gotten your butt kicked, fell down, beat up, get off the ground, dust yourself off. You've learned a lot of lessons. You've had enough humble pie, and it's time to where, all right, I'm ready to go. You're probably through arbitration, and it's the time to shine. And 27 makes perfect sense. I think obviously you've got players in the game right now in their early 30s and are at their peak. So it's different for everybody, but I think Tyler it makes sense. The 27-year-old with all the metrics and all the numbers makes perfect sense. That should be your prime. 27, 28, 29. It's before you start to get up in the morning and you get those aches and pains.
Tyler, when do you hit your prime as a writer?
Oh, man. Well, that's the thing.
71.
Yeah. And that's the thing that, sometimes we have to remember about the players we cover is that, we can do our job, obviously for a lot less money, but we can do our job for a long time at theoretically a fairly high level. But the players only have a really small window to get what they can get. And that when they retire, they're still relatively young people, right? I mean, if you have a career until you're 40, that's the exception. If you have a career until you're 35 or so, like you're retired, you're old for baseball, like late 30s, you're still a young man, like in the world. So you kind of have to remember that this is a really precious gift that the players have, is that extreme athletic talent, and it doesn't last forever. And you really admire the guys who have the drive and the makeup to make the most out of it and not waste it, because it's going to leave you probably a lot sooner than you realize.
Tyler,
that's why golf's the best, Rich. You can just keep playing forever.
Tyler, don't you feel old when there's a player that you covered, he retired, and now all of a sudden his kid shows up at spring training, you're like, oh man, I covered your dad as a rookie.
Yeah, I covered Cecil Fielder's last year as an active player with the Angels. That was the player that year. And then Prince was a 14-year-old kid taking batting practice, hitting bombs, and then he plays his whole career. And I saw him win a home run derby in MLB, and then I saw him win one for retired players at the Hall of Fame. And now his son, Prince's son, is in the Brewer system, and I'm like, oh my God, I've seen like 3 generations of this family. How is that possible? But it is. I mean, it is. Prince is what? Prince is like 42 now, I guess, and
right
40, yeah, and Cecil is whatever he is. And
that's awesome. All right, let's move on. Question number 3 of our 9 questions we have to kick off the 2026 season. New York Yankees always have that pressure to win it all every year. Is that a great culture, or is that chaos? So we'll start with Bret.
I envy it. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with being in New York. I always as a player thought one day I could finish up playing there and just to get a taste of what it's like to be the home team. Never got that, but I don't, as a player that this is your livelihood. I wouldn't want to be anywhere but on the pressure cooker. I want to be on the hottest burner and have the highest amount of expectations. Because I think when you do win, that's where you're going to get the biggest rewards. And so why not jump in, get critiqued, have that pressure linger. I think it's the greatest. I think it's the greatest rather than being on a small market team where you don't have the expectations and you can kind of have a more peaceful existence come to the ballpark. I'd rather every day feel like the postseason. And when you're in New York right now, being in LA playing for the Dodgers, they've got a postseason atmosphere year round because there's so much coverage. So many people just want to reach out and touch you because you've elevated yourself to that level. So for me, I want the chaos. I think my brother enjoys the chaos now. He's been through it enough, but there's nothing like it. I'd love to be in that atmosphere.
Tyler, I got a new saying for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Scared money don't make money.
That's at the blackjack table for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they're all in every year. And in fact, when they're not the highest payroll, like they're not the highest payroll now, some people, question that or question their commitment or their satisfaction of just making the play. Look, they will take their shot every year, and the expectations are what players want and what they thrive off of. I will say though that there is that something special that you can't really have with the Yankees, which is when you catch people by surprise, or
Right.
whether like you nobody believes in us but us, that kind of thing. Like the Yankees will always be the favorite. That's why like the '96 Yankees were so special, because they were going up against a team, the Braves, that was more accomplished than them, and that only a few years earlier the Yankees had been a bad team. And so it was new and fresh, this idea of winning again, and people didn't expect it. But you only get that once. You really only get that once, and they took advantage of it. And 30 years later now, they've had that standard to have to meet, and it can be suffocating. But it's a great thing about baseball is you get the offseason to recharge, and they go back to Florida, and it's all new again, and you're ready to take on that challenge again. So props to Aaron for. I guess this is year 9 now for him. And
Has it been 9 years?
Girardi had 10 years. Like there's stability there. There's a lot of stability with the Yankees in a job that used to be really, really unstable.
That just means Bret's getting old.
We all are, brother.
We all. If I get old, everybody has to get old, Rich.
I'm just saying, because before it was, oh, look, there's Bret's brother, Aaron. Now it's, hey, look, there's Aaron's brother, Bret.
We're all getting old, believe me.
Tyler, I just love to throw that at him. All right, here's the next question. Number 4, robo umpires, good or bad for the game of baseball this year? Because we're going to see it. I'll go with, let me start with Bret. Go ahead, Bret.
Well, I think, this spring, Tyler's seen a lot more than I have. You talk about robo. You're not talking about the ASB this year. You're talking about future robo or what they're going to incorporate.
We're having this technology coming in. Is it going to quiet people? Is it going to make people more upset? Is it going to stop all the second guessing of the guys and the umpires?
Right. I've gone full circle on this. The technology we have in 2026 is too overwhelming. It's too final. It's too good. When I played, we could debate balls and strikes. That's a good pitch. That's a strike. That's a ball. And I could see it by just watching the video. I didn't have boxes. I didn't have metrics. I wasn't measuring anything. Now everybody knows what an actual ball and an actual strike is because of the circle. Or I don't know if that's necessarily the actual strike zone, but it's the one that for entertainment value, everybody considers that to be the ball and the strike. As a hitting coach, I sat there, I would watch, I'd get the feed in the dugout. It would take me a little bit to see, is that a ball or a strike? And I'd find out every time if it's touching that line. It's not an argument. It's a fact by current rule. That is a strike. That is a ball. So I love the human element. I never wanted it to change. I loved how umpires used to be. It's establish your zone. This is what your zone is. And the good ones stuck to it. The bad ones were inconsistent. That's in any occupation.
Right.
But the more I've watched and now I've been a part of, and with the technology we have, I think it's just better putting it. I'm sick of commentary every day. And in the first inning, if the umpire misses a couple calls, that's all we're going to talk about, because now we're experts, because we've got the white box. And now, of course, we're an expert, because I've got something definitive I can show you to you that makes it not an opinion. It's right. So I think we need to get away from that. And the only way you do that is give it to the technology. The one good thing about being a player with this technology, if they have it perfect, and it is correct, all heights, if Aaron Judge comes up there at Altuve, he's got to know exactly what his strike zone is. If the technology gets to the point where it is perfected, I think it's great for a hitter, because I'm going to wake up every single day and I'm going to know who's umpiring. It's not going to matter. He's got a big zone, small zone. I know what the zone is. It's ingrained in my mind. I can step into the box and I know exactly what a strike and what a ball is every single day. I'm never going to be surprised by it. So I think it's a plus. It's a negative for the game, taking the human element out. But I think for efficiency, there's no more arguing balls and strikes, and there's no more commentators talking about balls and strikes anymore. So I think it's a net win for the game, and it's going to move it along a little quicker too.
Tyler, has the game hurt itself because it spends so much time beating itself up, complaining, telling everybody that the product is inferior? Because every time you turn on a broadcast, they're going to rip on the umpires, which means you're ripping on the integrity of the game.
Well, I mean, I think Bret had a lot of good points there, and that's that, this will give one less thing to complain about during the broadcast, right? I mean, a lot of broadcasters still complain about analytics in general and stuff, but I think you can't hold back progress. And as much as I loved baseball before replay and all that stuff was available, I mean, now it's kind of like you can't, now that we have the technology and the ability to get it right, you want to get it right. I hate that games will end on a challenge call because it takes away the spontaneity of that moment. But then again, you have like a call at the end of the U.S. Dominican game, right, in the WBC, where the pitch was below the strike zone, and the Dominican just has to kind of wear it because the umpire got it wrong and there's no challenge system. So I think it's going to be fascinating, though, especially at the beginning, because you're going to see who's really good at challenging and who's not. They'll have stats on that, like, Juan Soto is successful on all 12 of his challenges this year, or this guy, thinks he knows the strike zone and he doesn't, or which pitcher can't hold, gets frustrated and just goes like that and is wrong, and then he wastes the challenge for his team later. There's going to be a lot of funny things. And also, like, if this is the strike zone, right? Like, this is right here, because it should be like a potato, I guess, but like it's because they usually don't call it like up here and here. But if you train those pitchers to throw it to these edges, like Bret, those are hard pitches to hit, right? But they're still
no hitters like the edge.
But if that's the strike zone and you're throwing it right here, that's a tough pitch to hit. That practically feels like it's probably at your Adam's
armpits.
Without a doubt. And I think
that's the textbook strike zone they're going to be going to, and you get pitchers firing it at that part. That's going to be new for hitters, because that won't feel like a strike. It's never been called a strike, and even if it is a strike, it's really hard to hit.
Right, but also on the flip side, Tyler, there's only a certain amount of pitchers walking this earth that can consistently hit that dot, hit that corner. The ones that can, man, you're the Greg Maddux of my generation. But there's I'm only remembering a couple guys that had Maddux type control. As a hitter, I've got to give you that pitch, and I believe you can't hit it twice against great pitchers all the time. It's okay. Today, if he's on his game, I only might get one or two good pitches to hit the entire game. The rest are going to be right around the edges, and if I've got that umpire and they're giving him the edge, I'm in for a long day. So if I get that one pitch or two pitches in 4 at bats, I've got to make the most of it. I think that would separate the great pitchers from the decent pitchers, from the average pitchers to the end of the rotation type guys. So it's all going forward. Also, I love all the, as much as they change rules, I remember 6-7 years ago, I was kind of a cynic and thought, I hate all these rule changes. You keep baseball the way it is. The more I've seen these changes, I've really kind of embraced a lot of them. But with the replay, the one thing I'd like to see gone is the tag replay. I don't like it. I don't like it at second, at third base. because when the ball beats you by 10 feet and then all of a sudden these players, they're so athletic today, they turn into Cirque du Soleil and give you the swim move with the reverse curl, touching the corner of the bag when you were out by 10 feet. And let me tag you so you can go to the dugout. No, we're going to do these acrobatic moves. So no acrobats or gymnastics becomes a part of the national pastime, which I don't like. So I love the replays. I love the bang bang plays. Out safe. I love fair or foul, but I hate the tag plays because it's I think the moves you have to do to tricks. It's almost like trickery. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. I don't think baseball is here to do swim moves. I kind of like
the cool slides though. That athleticism. What I don't like is when the guy's foot, is just off the base for an instant, and then you tag him. It's like, oh wait, that's right. That's a technicality. But if a guy is adept enough to make an athletic move to avoid your tag, just because the ball beat him there, I don't know.
How about this too though? Second base, and I would argue this last year. I said we've got to. Sometimes you got to replay. I mean, you're pretty harsh at second. And I think if I'm playing second base in today's game, I'm going to be a little physical on a bang bang play when you're sliding to the edge of a bag. I'm going to kind of muscle you a little bit, see what I can get away with. Maybe I can keep my body on you, give you a little more shove than I normally would. Not shove where the cameras are going to pick it up like I'm being aggressive with you.
Lay some weight on you.
Right. Just kind of lean into you and kind of get you. Maybe I can get that hair off the bag with that left spike like you were talking about, Tyler. Mm-hmm. If I can get that, the problem is when I see another player doing that and my player is the offensive player, I'm calling foul right there like he pushed him off the bag. Now, where is it to where we decide, oh, well, he did push you off the bag or no, he didn't try to push you off the bag. Now it's that judgment call that leaves you in kind of weirdo land, I think.
All right, now we know. Okay, next question, number 5 of our 9 questions to kick off the season. I know a lot of people are going to talk about strikes, lockouts. We're not going to do that here on the Boone Podcast. Let's be positive. Expansion, it's coming. Tyler, give me one city in America that you think deserves to have Major League Baseball.
Nashville, baby. That's where baseball wants to go. That's where players want it to be. A lot of players live there now. It's a growing city in a great location, good climate. I don't know how they're going to build a stadium because they're just building a new one for the Titans, who had a fairly new stadium themselves.
Right.
But in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, but in a perfect world, that's where baseball wants to go. That's where the players want to go. Untapped market for MLB. That would be the best.
Bret Boone.
I kind of agree. And especially the boon that Nashville has had in recent times, mentioning the fact that a lot of players are living there. I've got a lot of buddies that are moving there as well. It's kind of the hotbed. It's kind of the Bend, Oregon of a few years ago. I mean, everybody wants to be in Nashville, and there's a lot of positive things that Nashville offers. Very intriguing to move to Nashville. I think it's either be that
or flights everywhere and no income tax, no state.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a couple
I think another possibility, Rich, is Utah.
Have to be indoor though, right?
Well, yeah, I think it would be a retractable dome like everywhere else.
Give me a sleeper.
Sleeper.
Because Portland's going to fall off the map. Sacramento's not going to be able to hold on to the A's. So those are a couple towns that we had talked about in years past. Buffalo, nobody wants to go to Buffalo anymore. There's a big push once for them to have baseball. Give me a sleeper that people can start talking about. Orlando's one that people throw out a lot, but you've got the Rays who don't draw much next to them. Give me a sleeper town. Because we're going to have 2 cities, and it's baseball, so they usually multiply by 4.
Could you ever convince the Astros and Rangers to allow a team in Austin?
Or San Antonio.
I mean, that's another big area between Austin and San Antonio, those 2 markets. But I think it would probably draw away from the Astros and
from both of them.
Rangers.
I think you're going to get right. I think you're going to get the same argument with when the A's were trying to move where they were were they trying to move? Yeah, you were getting thumbs down from the Giants all day long, saying you're going to take
Yeah.
away our fan base there. So, I don't. For me, I think it's Northern California somewhere. It's always had two teams up there. California's proven in the Bay Area they will support if the right team, right stadium. I'll tell you what, Oakland back in the day when I first got to the big leagues, and it was when the stadium was open and they didn't make it into
before they built Mount Davis.
That place was awesome. It was
Yeah.
kind of a Dodger Stadium 2.0. It was kind of a similar look. So California has proven if the right fit is there, they will support it. I'm with you on the Florida and Orlando. It's like Tampa Bay has made a ton of playoff runs. Miami's got 2 World Series and neither draw. So I don't think Florida is overwhelming to Major League Baseball to put another team in Florida. It's like the support just hasn't proven that it's there.
Tyler, any other questions? Any other ideas?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of markets in the NBA where there's sort of single team markets, right? Sacramento, Oklahoma City,
Memphis,
Orlando, New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans has the Saints, but like, they have a lot of those. But I don't know if those would work in baseball, because one thing you wouldn't want is just to consign another team to be a small market, trying to win on a shoestring budget sort of operation. You'd want it to be well funded and an owner who's going to want to spend the way, when Arizona came in and they spent a little bit, and even the Marlins, spent a little right at the start.
Huizinga and Colangelo spent when they got started. Yeah, absolutely.
So a lot of it will just depend on the system that they have in place, which brings us back to labor, which we ain't talking about right now.
We're not going to talk about it on today's program. I promise you that. All right. Who is the real beast of the East? And we'll start with Tyler. Is it the American League East or the National League East?
American League East, man. That division is a bear. Like, I don't know if it's I think it is mathematically possible to have 4 teams in one division. I think it is make the playoffs, and
it is,
and I could see that. I mean, I could really see it, and that's even with putting one of them in last, like I guess the Rays, but like the Rays you always have to take seriously,
right?
But I think Baltimore improved. The Yankees and Toronto were already really good and improved. Toronto especially, and Boston. They lost Bregman, but they added some pitching that looks good. I don't know. All 4 of those teams look really good to me. And Tampa, again, they always have something figured out.
Brett?
I think both divisions are the class of baseball, East and American League East and National League East. But I do think the American League East is a little more intriguing. When you look up and down, there is not a weak team there. And if Tampa Bay is going to be the bottom, I just read I think their over-under wins is 77.5. I think it's way over. I've seen Tampa Bay too many years now. McClanahan's coming back. That Rasmussen really came to the forefront last year. He's a beast.
They're back to the top.
Watch this Rasmussen kid at the top of that rotation. He's a beast. He's kind of like the number 1 for Houston. Help me, Tyler. Who's the number 1 in Houston now?
Hunter Brown.
Big righty. Rasmussen is a Hunter Brown. I mean, he's that type of pitcher. So Tampa Bay is going to surprise like they always do. They revamp, they reback. And if you're the bottom of that division, Orioles have gotten better. I don't think they're quite good enough. Yankees are the Yankees. Blue Jays, defending champs in the American League, they're going to be really good again. I'll tell you what, Boston's got better than for me, has made the biggest offseason moves to better their team. They won 80, what did they win last year? 89 games. I think they're a better team than they were a year ago. So I think that American League East is going to be tough. Mets are way better. Phillies, Atlanta's going to be better. National League East is going to be tough as well, but I think the American League East is where the focal point and will be the class of baseball this year.
All right, let's move on. Pace of play. Are we finally over it? Do we need to stop talking about the pace of play? Games gotten better, quicker, more action, shorter games. Tyler, is this whole thing over now? Now we can start worrying about just what's going on in the field instead of having clocks out all the time?
Yeah, man, I think everybody's adapted to it. I think it was a one of the best innovations in baseball that I can ever remember. It feels natural. It doesn't feel rushed. It feels like the real pacing of baseball when we all grew up with it. And
Bob Boone baseball.
Yeah, and it's taken out the self-indulgent sort of timeouts and routines and rituals and clearing of the mechanism and all that stuff. Like it's gone and nobody misses it. Nobody misses anything about the 3-hour, 45-minute game. Now that we can have a 2-hour and 45-minute game, it's much, much better. I think baseball sometimes gets a little bit like, well, the games went up by 2 minutes last year. What are we going to do? We're going to chop this off or chop that off. I wouldn't be worried about it being 2:38 instead of 2:36 or 2:36 instead of 2:34. It is great now. And yeah, let's move on from the pace of play stuff. They figured it out. Congratulations to everybody who made it work. Players, front office, commissioner, everything. It was great. Big success. Big success.
Bret, last year in the dugout in Texas, did it seem like the game was crisper, going at a quicker pace? Because I know I went to a couple games, boom, we're done like 2 hours, 10 minutes. I didn't even get to have a second hot dog.
Well, you don't need a second hot dog, Rich.
Hey, look how much weight I've lost. Leave me alone.
You do look good. Yeah, it was very natural, the greatest thing they've done. Greatest thing they've done. You probably had half the baseball fans in the world questioning it when it was being done. It's the greatest thing. And it's amazing to me how easily the players acclimated to it. It was like no brainer, no big deal. Now it's just normal. And yeah, being on the field, I knew this game's going to be over in 2.5 hours. I knew it every night. You could plan your evening around the game. Whereas back when I was playing, it was normal to run 3.5, and in the postseason, you're having 4-hour games. You don't know when you're going to get out of there. Now you kind of know when you're getting out of there, and I have to admit, I thought it was Johnny 16 U ball when we started having this runner on second. I kind of like it. We know we're going to have a winner here soon. I kind of like it. And I thought it was Mickey Mouse. I thought it was Bush. I'm like, this is not what we do in the big leagues. Now that it's been a few years and I've been around it, I kind of like it. Like, strategize, do what you need to do, win this game, but we're not going to sit here and have a 17, 18-hour inning. I think now with the postseason, you have to play a legit extra innings game, and I think you should when that much is on the line. But just going along with the pace of play thing, I think the runner on second's been a hit, and I was the last person that would admit that. I thought you were just minor league, amateur hour, and now all of a sudden I'm a fan.
That is awesome. All right, next question. This is a big one. You ready? Tyler, fill in the blank. The best player in Major League Baseball today is?
Shohei Ohtani, of course. He's the best player ever. I mean, he wins the MVP.
Wearing a Hall of Fame hat, that's a big statement.
He wins the MVP every year, and he's elite at pitching and hitting, man. And now he's going to be pitching from the start of the year, or at least, he's not going to wait around all year to throw one inning at a time. He's only 31 years old right now. He should still be in that prime, the later part of his prime. So I think it's who comes after Ohtani is the more intriguing question. But
then the second best player in baseball is.
Well, the question is, can Judge keep doing it? I mean, at 34 now, is he still going to be, because he was so much better? I think he has to be Judge, because he has done nothing to not deserve it. But I mean, he had 331 last year. Nobody does that. I mean, the next highest average was 311. I mean, he's that much higher than anybody else. I voted for Cal Raleigh last year in MVP because of the catching position and because he was in the field so much and the switch hitting record and all that. But like nobody thinks that Aaron Judge is not the best hitter in baseball, because he is by far.
Bret Boone, reaction.
Unfair question, Rich, on who's the best player. Ohtani's a unicorn. Nobody else can do what he can do. So if he goes 7-7 with a 4 ERA this year and hits 20 homers and hits 265 with 86 RBIs and steals 15 bases, he's still the best player in baseball because he's two players that nobody else can compete. So yes, Ohtani best because he's elite at both, on the mound and in the box. And
Okay.
on the bases, if we're really being honest, he's an elite player. He's an elite offensive player, and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy and when given a full slate. But I digress. I'll go to the number 2 player.
Yes.
Best offensive player in the game for me, and it's not even close, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, I think, is the closest thing we've had to Barry Bonds and his peers.
Wow.
When I was playing in Barry Bonds, the second, and there were a lot of great players, the second best player wasn't close to Bonds. Now, I don't think it's that big of a difference nowadays, but Aaron Judge he's separated himself. I mean, this guy's hitting 50 homers on a bad year and winning a batting title. You just don't win batting titles and hit 50. And now I think Aaron's done it so many times. We just take it for granted. Oh, he hit 50 this year. Do you realize what hitting 50 homers is like? It's unbelievable to hit
makes it look easy.
50. Well, the yard helps him. Okay, it's a short porch, and he's such a good hitter. Half his home runs are the other way, and that's a great place, but he takes advantage of the Yankee Stadium. But to hit 50, like every year, like, oh, I'll hit 50 this year. That's unbelievable. Griffey hit 50 twice, and that was unbelievable. I think Judge has done it 4 or 5 times, and one of the years has a 6 in front of it. And just to expect, if Aaron Judge is healthy this year, what's he going to do? Well, I expect him to win the batting title again and to hit 50-plus homers. If things go perfect, he'll hit 60. And if he just has a rotten year, he's going to hit 42. That's where we're at with Aaron Judge. He's that good. I think he's that much better than the second best offensive player. Then you get in all the metrics and the OPS and the on-base percentage. He blows everybody away in that too. So for me, and he's doing it right-handed. We've never had the best hitter in the world be right-handed. Aaron Judge currently is the best hitter in the world, and he's right-handed, which, as everybody knows, all those hitters know out there, you are at a disadvantage being right-handed. You are at an advantage being left-handed. That's why consistently throughout the history of baseball, usually the best offensive players, they're lefty because there's a reason for that. There's more right-handers. You have a little bit of advantage being a left-handed hitter.
And yet, not a single left-handed hitter hit 300 last year. Can you believe that?
Yeah, different era.
It's pretty
Different
crazy.
world.
Freddie Freeman and Josh Naylor.
That's why you're a best-selling New York Times.
Well, I have a story about that coming up.
I think it has to do with the hitting coaches nowadays.
Yeah, the hitting coaches, right?
Hey, that's why I spend my money for the Athletic. That's why I subscribe. All right, final question. Who's got to win now? They need a W now more than they need oxygen.
Philadelphia.
First, Rich. Let's go with Tyler.
Let's go with Tyler.
I would say the Phillies for sure. Phillies and Yankees. I mean, those are the teams that are a little bit older and have a lot of money invested and haven't won, in a while. I mean, Phillies is 18 years now. The Yankees at 17 years, and for what you spend and for what you expect, and for those markets and those again MVP or Hall of Fame multiple MVP type players, Harper and Judge. They got to get that ring before they've been there and lost. They need to get there and win. So I think those two teams are facing the most kind of, time on the clock right now because, with veteran teams and veteran stars with high salaries, those are the ones that are on notice.
Brett?
I think the Yankees are always, especially when they haven't won in a while, they're always going to be on notice. It's a compliment to the organization, to the franchise, for how much it means to the modern day sports era. But the pressure is always going to be on the Yankees. And I think, Phillies, I understand where he's coming from with that, but I'm going to go with the Mets and Steve Cohen and what the amount of money he's spent and continues to spend, starting with the Juan Soto, but this offseason, given all due respect to Bo Bichette, he's a really good player, but all of a sudden he's making $42 million. Mm-hmm. And that's Steve Cohen saying, I'm going to get what I want right now. You got a lot of guys coming over there. Simeon and Polanco. You get Peralta from the Brewers Cy Young candidate a year ago. Louis Robert Jr. We're going to see if, he's had the hype his whole life. He's got the skill set. Is he going to live up to it? So I think the Mets right now, A lot of pressure on them just because the amount of money they spend, and they're sick of being the little sister to the Yankees, which I think they'll always be. But I think the pressure's on Mets Yankees.
Tyler, now you see the insight of the Boone family.
Mm-hmm.
And why scared money don't make money. Big time players make big time plays. Pressure is a privilege. Because Bret just hung that on his son's organization. You've got to win right now with Jakey going to work for the Mets. That's why the Boones are the first family of baseball. They welcome those challenges, generation
right.
to generation.
Hey, I saw Bob Boone there with the Phillies. They had lost, like I said earlier, 3 LCSs, and another year they didn't make it. And what do? They come back and they win it. So, the never give up spirit of Bob Boone lives on.
Yeah. Bret, what did your grandpa used to say?
Never bet against a Boone.
I'm just saying right now, maybe we should start printing out the new.
Unless it's Bret or Aaron in the World Series, because we didn't win.
I was just going to say, can we just go ahead and make it a Subway Series right now so a Boone wins?
That would be cool.
Yeah. Would you go?
I'd go see my son.
Well, no. That's Tyler. Get your pen down. Start marking this down. It's Uncle Aaron.
If it was Mets, Yankees, Jakey being a young lad in the Mets front office, Aaron obviously being the skipper, would I go? World Series? I'd go out. You know what? I'd go out as an excuse to see my son, hang out for a few days, and I'd probably go to a game, especially if it was a deciding game. Would I go to a series? Absolutely not. But I'd go to a game. If it was clinch night, yeah, I'd go.
Only clinch night?
Yeah, I'm not going to no, I'm not going to a series. If I've got some media stuff to do, yes. If I have business work, I will be there. But I am not going to go sit in the stands as a fan of the game for 3 or 4 nights. No chance. So one game. The only time I go to multiple games in a row is if I have a job to do.
Okay.
I can see it from my couch.
I've been to 136 World Series games in a row, man. You can't keep me away.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what you do. That's what you do.
Well, wait a second. Here, Tyler, here's the big question. Whose pass list are you on? The Yankees or the Mets?
Ooh. That's for Bret. I don't know.
Bret. Are you sitting behind the Yankees dugout or are you sitting behind the Mets dugout?
Well, both Aaron and my son are both they're both a pain in the ass. So I'll probably for Tyler, if he needed seats, I'll arrange them somehow. I'll get it done. I don't need Aaron. I don't need Jake.
No. Where are you gonna sit? Are you sitting? Are you sitting Yankees or are you sitting Mets?
You root for your brothers or your son?
I think because of the roles currently, I've got to go with Aaron. I've got to go with Aaron. It's different if Jake Boone is the general manager, and Aaron is the manager.
Or if he was playing, then that's one thing.
Correct, but you got to consider the stage you're on. It's like it's like if Dad's managing and Aaron's playing, I've got to go with Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
The player trumps the manager.
Right.
Okay. The manager, well, I found out last year, the manager trumped the hitting coach. Ask Sue Boone about it. I got pissed. So I think there is a pecking order to the player always wins. Whoever's playing, you got to root for them if it's a family member. Then it goes to the manager. If you're a general manager, okay, that's a ring to have on your mantle. But I think there is a pecking order. So Jake, in a few years, it might be Jake. Aaron as the manager, as his brother, I'd have to pull for Aaron.
Yeah, and it would mean more probably, to Bret, to Aaron's legacy in the game, to be a World Series winning manager. He's taken his team there. He has a tremendous record
Absolutely
for his 8 years. But to actually wear the ring, then nobody can say anything anymore. That's the one thing where you can always point to. So I think if it gets to that point, Aaron's got a lot legacy-wise at stake.
I've got one more question before we go for Tyler. All right, Kep, how many games, how many World Series in a row you been to?
I count all the games, 136 games in a row, 157 in my life. So I haven't missed a World Series game since the last 2 in Arizona in 2000.
Okay. Now, Tyler Kepner, let's just say,
So 24
this
years.
for argument's sake. This is argument's sake. This is just, you're far from this age, but day's going to come and I'm going to retire. I've had a great run. I love it. I'm going to go see the world a little bit. I'm still going to be a baseball fan.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to continue to go to every single World Series game?
I would try. It would get pretty expensive though if someone's not paying my way.
Would you go? You go. My point is, you go now because that's your job. That's your livelihood. When it's not your job and your livelihood, would you be there?
Yeah, I mean, if
that makes you a crazy fan then.
If money's no object, yeah, I would go. Sure, I would absolutely go, man.
Tyler,
I love it.
Have you gone to a game where you weren't working?
I have, yeah, but I mean, not often.
Well, you work all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I did just go to a couple spring training games because it was my dad's 80th birthday. I sat in the stands. He wanted to go to Clearwater and see the Phillies. So we went to actually one game in Northport against the Braves and one game in Clearwater. I sat in the stands. And it was fun. The Fanatic came by and he, gave my dad a big birthday raspberry. So that was great. But yeah, it was fun. Like
see all these stories
sitting in the sun in Florida watching a ball game. It ain't too bad.
All these stories have a background though. Going with your pops, that's pretty awesome. You can't replace those things. As a kid, I know you're a huge Philly guy growing up. All the sport, the '80 World Series team, Steve Carlton, I know is your favorite.
That's right.
So I see the fan in you, and I see why you go to games.
Mm-hmm.
Create memories with pops.
Mm-hmm. What's pops?
But I want to see when you're really retired. I'm going to talk to you and say, Kep, how many games you going to these days?
Well, I'm kind of like, what did Jerry Seinfeld say? He said, like, some people they get really old. They have a bucket list. They want to go hang gliding down the Amazon. You do that. He's like, I have a blanket list, like a beep, not a bucket, but something list. He's like, all I want to do is just go to the ball game. He's like, I'm fine. He's like, yeah. I get old. I'll just go to the ball game a lot, and I'm like, it's pretty good. That sounds not so bad. Like the traffic and all that, but like, yeah,
What's Mr. Kepner's name?
John.
John, happy birthday, John Kepner.
Yes, 80 years old, man. He had quadruple bypass surgery last year. He's going strong now. So, he's the best.
All right, cool. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. Hey, that's going to wrap up our preview. I think this was a pretty good one, fellas.
Interesting topics. Yeah. Wasn't your typical go down the list? You had some interesting. I got to give credit to Rich Herrera, executive producer.
Whoa. Okay, we've learned a couple things today because Tyler, that never happens. That he actually says something nice about me. But thanks to everybody, Tyler. Again, you're the greatest. We appreciate you. Do you have anything? What new projects?
Well, I have this. Yeah, I mentioned the Fanatic. My brother and I have been working on the definitive documentary about the greatest mascot in sports history. So yeah, man, it's gonna be great. We're finishing it up now. We spent all last year like doing interviews and research. We've got both people who've played the character are on board, and we've got just a ton of access. It's been so much fun. I mean, it's been. My brother's the filmmaker. He puts together. I do all the interviews. But we've talked to people from outside the sports world, lots of Phillies people, lots of people around the game. We talked to Steve Sachs about all the Tommy Lasorda shenanigans back in the day. We talked to Joe West about what it's like, umpiring when his mascot's around. We talked to Rob Mack from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia about like the comedic aspects of them, and we went to the Simpsons lot, talked to a Simpsons writer from Philly about Christine Nangle, who's great, talking about the why the Fanatic works comedically. So it's just we've gotten so much had so much fun with this, and hoping to just finish it up, just tweak it here and there, and send it out to film festivals and get it on the streaming platform and have a lot of fun with it. So that's been my recent project.
Wait a minute. New York Times best-selling author, athletic. He's gone to every World Series since the beginning of time. One of the best baseball writers. Now you're going to be a documentarian and probably an award-winning documentarian. What can Tyler Kepner not do?
I can't play Major League Baseball. I'm not one of the 23,000 like the guy in the middle here, man. I didn't have the fastball for it. I could throw strikes, throw a spin a curveball. I couldn't hit worth a damn, and I just couldn't get past high school on the mound, baby. That's what we all try to do. And the few who get to live it, we have a real appreciation for them. But no, I couldn't play Major League Baseball, but try to do some other stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, listen, Bret Boone grew up harassing the Fanatics, so I can't wait to see the video.
Oh, you're going to love it. It's going to be great.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Tyler, very much. Bret, I'll let you say goodbye to everybody.
All right. For those of you watching now, check us out on YouTube. You're going to have my mustache clip up, Jared, and you'll be able to check that out. For those of you, check it out now on YouTube. And for those of you that download the Bret Boone Podcast, do it on the Odyssey app or wherever you download your podcasts. Until next time, keep it here.